My name is Daniel, and this is the story of how the woman I loved, the woman I built my entire world around, destroyed it with lies. I used to believe that love was the safest place in the world, a shelter from everything cruel outside. But I learned that sometimes the person you trust most can become the storm that ruins you. The beginning. I met Elena on a rainy evening 3 years ago. The kind of rain that feels endless, soft, cold, and comforting all at once. I was leaving the hospital after a double shift, half soaked, half awake, just wanting to get home. She was standing under a flickering streetlight, holding a red umbrella that did nothing to stop the rain dripping down her face. She smiled at me, a stranger, and said, "Looks like the city wants to wash us both clean tonight." That line stayed with me. We talked for an hour, maybe more. She told me she was a freelance designer, new to the city, still figuring things out. Her laugh had this warmth that made the cold air disappear. When I finally walked her home, she turned and said, "Maybe this rain was supposed to happen." I didn't know what she meant back then, but I do now. The love that felt like forever, from that night everything changed. We started seeing each other every day. Coffee in the morning, long talks at night, walks through old streets where street musicians played songs that somehow always matched our mood. Elena was sunshine after years of gray. She'd dance barefoot in our kitchen while I cooked. She'd sketch little hearts on my hand when she thought I wasn't looking. 6 months later, I proposed to her in that same rainy street under that same light. She cried, I cried, and I thought, this is it. This is my forever. If only I knew how temporary forever can be. The subtle cracks, the first time I noticed something was wrong, it was tiny, invisible to anyone but me. A quick glance at her phone she tried to hide. A late text she brushed off as a client emergency. A shift in how she said my name, softer, distant, distracted. I told myself not to overthink it. I trusted her. Love without trust isn't love, right? But trust can make you blind. The night everything changed one night, she fell asleep early. Her phone buzzed beside her. I looked at it out of reflex. I swear I didn't mean to. The screen lit up with a message that said, "I missed last night. When can I see you again?" My stomach dropped. The sender's name was just one letter. L. I stood there, staring, frozen in disbelief. When she woke up the next morning, she smiled like nothing had happened, kissed my cheek, made coffee, and I smiled back, pretending nothing was broken. But something inside me cracked that day, and it never healed. The doubt that ate me alive, days turned into weeks. She started working late nights. Her perfume changed. She spent more time in the mirror. When I hugged her, she felt distant, like she was somewhere else entirely. One night, I drove past the building where she said she was working. It was dark. No cars, no lights, no clients. I parked nearby and waited. An hour later, her car appeared, coming from a completely different direction. She parked 2 blocks away, crept inside quietly, and slipped into bed beside me. I lay there, listening to her breathing, wishing it was just a nightmare. The proof the next day, I couldn't take it anymore. While she was out, I opened her laptop, something I swore I'd never do. But pain turns good people desperate. Buried in her folders was one named Projects L. Inside were photos, her and a man I'd never seen. Dinner tables, beaches, her smile pressed against his shoulder. Time stopped. Every memory I had of her shattered in that moment. When she came home that evening, I was waiting with the laptop open on the table. "Elena," I said, "who is Elle?" She froze. Her mouth trembled. And then the tears came. But they weren't the kind that fix anything. The confession, she said his name was Liam, a friend from college she accidentally reconnected with. She said she was lonely, that I was always working, that she never meant for it to happen. I wanted to scream, to break something, to disappear, but I just stood there, silent. Because when the person you love betrays you, silence hurts them more than words ever could. I remember asking her one thing. Was it worth it? And she whispered, I don't know. That was the moment my world ended. The empty house. We still lived together for a while after that. Two ghosts under the same roof. We shared the same bed but slept miles apart. Every sound in the house reminded me of her laughter, and every silence reminded me it was gone. She tried to fix things. Letters, tears, desperate apologies. But love without honesty is like a house without a foundation. It collapses every time you breathe. One night she begged me to stay. Please, she said. Don't give up on us. I looked at her, the woman I once believed was my whole world, and said, I didn't give up. Elena, you did. And I walked out. The aftermath, I moved into a small apartment near the edge of the city. No photos, no memories, just walls, silence, and a bed that felt too big. I tried to lose myself in work, in music, in anything that could keep her name from echoing inside my head. But every time it rained, I saw her. Every streetlight reminded me of the night we met. People told me time heals everything, but time doesn't heal. It just teaches you how to live with the scar. Her return, 3 months later, she showed up at my door. Thinner, pale, eyes swollen from crying. Can we talk? She whispered. I let her in. I don't even know why. Maybe because part of me still needed closure. Or maybe because love doesn't disappear overnight. She told me Liam had left her. He said it was too complicated, she said bitterly. And then she cried again. I made a mistake, Daniel. You're the only one who ever truly loved me. I should have felt justice, but all I felt was sadness. She destroyed something sacred, and now she was paying for it. I told her, I did love you, Elena, more than you'll ever understand. But you didn't just lie to me. You lied to the version of yourself that could have been happy. She sobbed uncontrollably. I stood there, numb, watching her fall apart the same way she once broke me. The letter a week later. I found a letter under my door. It was from her. Daniel, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I wake up every morning wishing I could undo what I did. You were my calm, my home, my truth. I thought love was supposed to be exciting, but now I know it's supposed to be safe. I traded peace for chaos, and I lost everything. If you ever think of me, please remember the woman who was too weak to protect what was pure. I'll love you in silence for the rest of my life. Elena, I never wrote back. Some things are better left unread, even after they're already seen. The slow healing life didn't magically get better. Healing isn't dramatic. It's painfully slow. I started running again. Took up photography. Found beauty in small things. In sunrise, in quiet cafes. In strangers who smiled for no reason. I realized that forgiveness isn't something you give to someone else. It's something you give to yourself, so you can finally breathe again. Years passed. The pain dulled. But every time it rained, I still thought of her. The chance meeting. 2 years later, I saw her again, in a cafe downtown. She was laughing with a friend, hair shorter now, a faint sadness still hiding behind her smile. For a brief second, our eyes met. She froze, then smiled softly. A silent, I'm sorry. A silent, I know. I smiled back, just once, and walked away. We were strangers again. But for the first time, that didn't hurt, the reflection. Looking back now, I realize love isn't about perfection. It's about honesty, about showing someone your broken parts and trusting them not to use them against you. Elena's lies broke my world. But they also rebuilt me. I learned who I am when everything falls apart. I learned that strength isn't in holding on. It's in knowing when to let go. Sometimes heartbreak is just love's way of teaching you that you deserve better. Sometimes losing someone isn't the end. It's the beginning of finally finding yourself. Closing scene. Soft rain fades in again. Now, when I walk past that streetlight where we first met, I stop for a second. The rain falls the same way it did that night. But this time I don't see her. I just see a man who survived and learned that even when love dies, hope doesn't have to. Because in the end, her lies broke my world, but they couldn't break me. We tried, God, we tried. We made lists, therapy, honesty, no more secrets. We cooked together, washed the same plates, shared the same bed with an ocean in the middle. Forgiveness is a bridge you build from both sides. But some nights I worked alone, hammering in the dark. There were good days, real ones. We walked to the river and let the wind erase our words. She painted again, softer now. Pastels that looked like apologies. She'd press her cheek to my chest, whisper, "Thank you," and I'd pretend your welcome didn't taste like surrender. But trust doesn't return the way it leaves. It limps back, tentative, waiting to be spooked. One night, she sat on the edge of the bed, hands folded like a child's. The room was so quiet I could hear the fabric of her robe rustle. "I need to tell you something," she said. I felt the floor tilt before she spoke. "I'm pregnant." The word hovered like a fragile gift. "And it's his." I didn't stand. I didn't shout. The human body is strange. It can hold agony without moving. She kept talking, apologizing, bargaining with time, with fate, with me. I thought it was too late to be his. I wanted to be sure before I told you. I'm so sorry. I don't know what to do. I knew what I had to do. Not because I was brave, but because something inside me had finally stopped breaking. You can only shatter once. After that, you're just pieces refusing to rearrange. I packed a bag. A sweater, 2 shirts, a toothbrush. She grabbed my arm. Don't leave, please. I'll fix it. I swear I'll fix it. I looked at the woman I had promised forever to, and realized I'd been trying to save us from a fire that was already ash. I can't stay, I said quietly. And then I didn't. I walked until the city unscrolled itself, and I was somewhere I didn't recognize. The rain made a halo around streetlights. It turned my breath into fog. I ended up at the park where she once claimed she'd paint. The benches were slick, the grass jeweled with water. I sat and watched the sky not do anything for a long time. Grief is loud when you are still. It catalogs everything. The way she kissed hello, the chipped bowl we never replaced, the crack on the ceiling shaped like a river. It asked absurd questions. Did the child have a right to me? Did love owe me a refund? Was I a fool to have believed in us, or a fool to stop? When the rain finally softened, I stood. I was not healed. I was only done for the night. Divorce isn't a single signature. It's a scavenger hunt through your former life. Receipts, bank statements, proof that what you shared can be itemized. The attorney was kind, clinical. Irreconcilable differences, he said, and I nodded at the phrase like it was a stranger at a bus stop. Elena didn't fight. She came to the meetings in a gray sweater that made her look smaller. She cried once, silent, efficient tears that made the paralegal hand her a square of tissue and glance at me like I should do something. I didn't. Not out of cruelty, but because I had finally learned the difference between compassion and rescue. We sold the apartment. Her paintings left the walls in rectangles of lighter paint, ghost windows that made the room look like it missed her. I didn't take any of her canvases. Keeping them felt like stealing a language I no longer spoke. On the day the papers were finalized, the sky offered me polite sunlight. I walked home to a place that wasn't home and sat on the floor with a pizza that tasted like cardboard and victory. People say time heals. Maybe it does, but not like a doctor. More like weather. It wears the edges down until you can hold them without bleeding. I moved into a smaller apartment closer to work. I planted a lemon tree on the balcony because someone once told me lemon blossoms smell like forgiveness. They were right. I went back to running. I learned to cook things that required patience. Stews, slow roasts, bread that asked you to wait. My hands remembered how to build. I took on a project designing a community center with wide windows and cheap, good light. I spent entire afternoons mapping where the sun would fall at 4 p.m. in winter, imagining kids reading in squares of gold. At a gallery one evening, I paused before a painting that was almost hers. Blue for the background, white for the quiet, a thin, stubborn slash of red. My breath hitched, not because I still loved her, but because the person I had been with her stepped out of me like a ghost and stood there for a second, polite as ever. I nodded to him, to the painting, to the life that was both mine and not. I don't know where Elena is now. I hope she found some version of peace, something honest, something that doesn't require anyone else to disappear. If the child is in the world, I hope he is loved. I hope he never learns my name like a story about a bridge that never got built. Here's what I know. Love is not a guarantee, and trust is not a lock. They're living things. You feed them, you guard them, and if someone starves them, they die. Quietly, long before you admit it. My world broke. That's true, but the part I didn't understand then is that worlds are stubborn. They reassemble themselves around what remains. Some lies bruise, some lies break. Mine taught me how to live with the truth and to build again.